Hello and welcome. You're with timesofIndia.com. I am Akash Dasgupta. Now in this video today, I'm going to be talking to you very quickly about a few of the biggest talking points that have emerged after India lost yet another World Test Championship final. This, remember, is their second loss in a row. This was, of course, only the second time that the WTC final was being played. The first time in 2021, India lost to New Zealand, and now in 2023, they've lost to their trans-Tasman rivals, the Aussies. In fact, since India won the 2013 Champions Trophy under MS Dhoni's captaincy, they've played 8 knockout matches in ICC events, i.e. semi-finals and finals, and incredibly, they've lost all 8 matches. Now, as far as the WTC final, this time against the Australians, are concerned, let's run you through a few of the things that India maybe could have done better. First up, did they misread the conditions and the pitch? And I'm talking about the captain, the coach, and of course senior members of the team and the team management. India, remember, won the toss and decided to bowl first because the conditions were overcast, and also, as Rahul Dravid later said after the match was over, there was a grass covering on the pitch. However, multiple cricket experts, while doing commentary or in interviews, later said, after the toss was over that is, that you could see that the soil under the grass was white in colour, which indicated a dry pitch. So India, of course, put the Australians into bat, and the Aussies were reduced to 76 for 3 in their first innings, and at that point in time, it looked like it might be a great decision that India won the toss and elected to field first, but that's when the Smith and Travis Head partnership started to unfold, and they really took the match completely away from India. As soon as Australia posted a huge 469 runs on the board in their first innings, the writing was pretty much on the wall for Team India. Did they then misread the conditions and the pitch? Remember, they won the toss. Could they perhaps have batted first? The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about, of course, is, it's been making headlines for such a long time, the curious case of R. Ashwin's exclusion. Now, here's a bowler who in this WTC cycle from 2021 to 2023 has been India's most successful bowler. He took 61 wickets in 13 tests in this WTC cycle. His average was under 20 and his best was of 6 for 91, best match figures. And yet, Ashwin did not find a place in the playing 11. Now, the bowling attack that India chose to go in with, they chose a 4-pacer, 1-spinner strategy because they thought that perhaps this pitch is going to be quite fast and the pacers can trouble the Aussie batters. If you look at the bowlers who were picked, Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj, of course, picked themselves in any lineup. So their inclusion was absolutely all right. But Shardul Thakur and Umesh Yadav took a combined 4 wickets between them in the 2 innings in the match. They did not really provide the kind of support that Shami and Siraj really needed. And what this also meant was that India could play only 1 spinner in Ravindra Jadeja. If Ashwin had played, would things have been different? In many ways, you have to ask yourself, did India perhaps do this because of what happened in 2021 in the WTC final against New Zealand, which was also, remember, played in England at Southampton, and India went in with 2 spinners. Ashwin and Jadeja both played, but those conditions favored the pacers much more. So was the team management thinking that they don't want to make a similar mistake? Was it a case of not really reading the conditions and the pitch perfectly and picking the playing 11 according to that? Well, as things stood, Ashwin was on the bench. He was carrying drinks onto the ground and not playing. The other thing, of course, the weaklings in the Indian bowling lineup, and also a bigger question, where are the next generation bowlers? As I mentioned, Shardul and Umesh did not really provide the support that Siraj and Shami needed. If you look at the Aussie pace attack, they didn't have Josh Hazlewood, who was out due to injury. But despite that, someone like a Scott Boland, who made the playing 11 cut because Hazlewood was missing, was absolutely fantastic in the match. And the 4 pacers that the Aussies played, they did a pretty good job, along with that 1 spinner, Nathan Lang. Where are the next generation bowlers? It's a question that a few people are asking right now. If you look at the Indian squad that was picked, Umesh Yadav, a lot of people would say that he is past his prime. Shardul Thakur can be played, of course, as an all-rounder. He played a good knock with the bat in India's first innings. But where are the likes of Arshdeep Singh and Umran Malik, for instance? Some people might say that they're not test match ready, but the bigger question then is, are they being groomed to play the longer format of the sport? If you look at India's squad, they had someone like a Jaydev Unadkat as a backup bowler in the squad. Unadkat hasn't really been playing Test cricket as such over a long period of time. He hasn't been a regular in an Indian Test playing 11. Then why pick someone like him in the squad? And if you had to, are the lessons being learned for the future? Are the youngsters being groomed to take over in the longest format of the game? We do have a lot of talent, but are they being groomed enough? Is that second line of the supply chain being prepared? That's a very big question. Another big point that has become a big talking point, of course, is the misfiring Indian top order. If you look at the top four that India have in Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli, combined the four of them scored 193 runs in the match. Now compare that with what the Aussies did with the likes of Smith and Travis Head, of course, in particular, who walked away with the Man of the Match award for that big knock that he played in the first innings. But also a special mention for someone like an Alex Carey. Not top order, of course, came lower down, but look at the two knocks that he played of 48 and 66. The Indian top order was found wanting, even technically. Who would have thought that Cheteshwar Pujara would be dismissed trying to play an uppercut to a Pat Cummins bouncer in India's second innings? But that's what happened. Virat Kohli reached out for a ball which was very far away from his off stump, and he was caught in the slip. So these questions, of course, will continue to be asked. As far as Cheteshwar Pujara is concerned, the real Pujara, according to me, did not show up. He didn't stand up at all. Now, one of the big talking points going into this WTC final was that if there's one Indian batter who is going to be match ready to play in these conditions, it will be Cheteshwar Pujara. Why? Because he has been playing county cricket for Sussex for a while, has got quite a few centuries this season under his belt as well. But if you see what happened in this match, he had scores of 14 and 27. And both his dismissals were worrisome. In the first innings, he left the ball and it crashed into his furniture and rattled it. So he was bowled out. In the second one, a Pat Cummins bouncer and an attempt to play an uppercut. And of course, he's caught behind. So the real Cheteshwar Pujara just didn't stand up. And the last point I wanted to talk about was the overall scheduling / IPL fatigue / no real preparation for Team India. Now, if you look at the scheduling, the WTC final, this was the second time it was being played, and once again it was in the month of June, just like in 2021. What that means is that it comes right after the IPL season. And the IPL season, as we all know, is a very, very grueling season, 2 month long now, and all the Indian players play. All the Indian top players, cricketers are playing the IPL, just like they did this time, barring only Cheteshwar Pujara and KS Bharat. The only two people who were in the Indian playing 11 who were not playing in the IPL. Pujara was playing, of course, county cricket. Now, if you look at the Aussies, and they're playing 11, barring David Warner and Cameron Green, no one else in that Aussie playing 11 was playing in the IPL. The IPL fatigue was very clear. You could see it in the body language of the Indian batsmen. They were tired. It was very, very evident, and that's absolutely no fault of theirs, because it is a very grueling season, because there's relentless non-stop T20 cricket, and of course also a lot of travel that is involved when you're playing in the IPL. Also, there were no warm-up matches, remember, this time for either India or Australia. And the reason for that, of course, was A, there was no time, B, the county season is on, so no warm-up matches could be organized. Also, the ECB is under no obligation really to host warm-up matches, because this, after all, is an ICC event. Alan Border, the former Australian captain, in fact, went on record before the WTC final saying, and I quote, "It's fraught with danger." And he was talking about the Australians not having played a single warm-up match. Well, as things turned out, it wasn't the Aussies who looked rusty in these conditions at all. And for them, this was actually good practice, very good practice. They chose to come out into this WTC final as fresh as possible. Now they won this. It's a big shot in the arm for them, and they've got good match practice, because remember what's coming up next, the Ashes beginning on the 16th of June in these very same English conditions.